The Mask of Masculinity by Lewis Howes. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps with ranking and SEO and all this other stuff, and I really appreciate it because so much work goes into making these videos. There's a danger in being a man and writing books like this. The danger is that when you write about emotionally opening yourself up to others, you greatly run the risk of being praised by others for talking about your feelings in today's society. I bet you thought I was gonna say criticized or shamed or judged or hurt, and that's also probably a risk. That's actually what I thought I was going to say, but no. I would say the biggest danger is probably just criticism for generalization or susceptibility to snap judgments about what the author's intentions might be. However, that is what I thought the biggest danger was gonna be. Until the end of the book, when the author said, I have deliberately steered clear of biology and gender in this book. And I realized he was right. I can't see how anyone could be offended by this book. And that is one of the most impressive, that's probably the most impressive thing about it. Admitting that you're struggling is important, but recognizing what you're struggling with is like a totally different story. And even more crucial is understanding why you're struggling with it and how to fix it. My experience with stuff in this book is that not knowing and understanding its contents fundamentally has probably cost me more of what I've wanted as a man than anything else in my life. The book is about the 9 different masks that we as men wear, which sabotage us from getting what we truly want. I can't imagine how many stories of regret are told out of not having taken off masks like this. The ability to do anything great requires the ability to work together with people and harmonize and just work in teams. But let's talk about each mask. And as you watch, tell me in the comments a little about your experience that really stood out to you. By the way, the author at the end of every chapter talks about what to do with, like, if you have this mask that if you're wearing this mask, what you will get out of your life by letting it go, as well as what you are to do if you're a woman who is with a man who is wearing this mask. As far as whether girls can wear masks like this and like wear, like, you know, what if it's like 2 guys in a relationship? Honestly, I feel like it still probably applies. The first one we'll go over, the Stoic Mask. What's difficult about these masks is that we are taught to put them on from a very young age. So this literally requires us to rewire our brains in a lot of ways. The bottom line is that suppressing your feelings or talking about them. I don't know about you, but the latter used to really, really scare me. After truly reflecting on the consequences of both, the former probably scares me more at this point. If you could say the same about yourself, I think that's something to be proud of. The next one is the Athlete Mask. Sports become your identity. And when you can't do your sport or sports anymore, it's like nothing matters at all. I do see a lot of workaholism and how that could kind of tie into this mask. Playing through injuries is a common sign, and when you don't, when you're so absorbed in it that you don't pay attention to anyone or anything else in your life, a lot of pain can come out of it in directions which you just probably wouldn't expect. The next mask, the Material Mask. It's important to learn from your own mistakes, absolutely, but a faster way to do it is to learn from those of others. Not just mistakes, but also successes, like what works. And the reason I'm saying that is this constant use in this book of examples. I mean, that's what's amazing about his podcast, The School of Greatness. He has so many examples of different successful people he's talked to in depth about lots of topics. When it's about the holes that these people have dug for themselves and kind of pulled themselves out of. Tai Lopez is one of these people. I don't know if he's pulled himself out of the hole, but like, no shade to Tai Lopez. He's a very, very smart man, but I don't know. If you check out the book, you'll know what I mean. I wasn't surprised, but I did learn how much gratitude has to do with dropping a mask that you might be wearing of like materialism. The next mask, the Sexual Mask, where you base your self-worth on just like the conquest of getting women in bed. Women, for some people, maybe men, maybe both, depending on your preference. Like for some of us women, has just become a trophy hunt. Howes explains how this mask is seriously dangerous. He uses Neil Strauss, the author of The Game and The Truth. That dude is an amazing example of this sexual mask. But why it's dangerous has to do a lot with biology. And it's deeply rooted in why we're even on this planet. The next mask, the aggressive mask. Modern society has evolved to a point where much of aggression and physical dominance are no longer the only or even the preeminent means by which men can order themselves. I'm not comparing this guy to Napoleon Hill, but it is kind of like the type of observation that you might hear in a Napoleon Hill book. At this point in the audiobook, I felt like I was listening to just like 1,000 therapy sessions compressed into a small collection of the most insightful breakthroughs and what we have to learn from them. The next mask, the Joker mask. One name, Robin Williams. You know what's sad about this whole concept? Why am I talking about what's sad? Athletics and comedy and stoicism and sexuality. These are things that have saved lives. And to think that we take them, we will destroy ourselves over and using and abusing and just with them, I think it says a lot about human nature in general. But the Joker mask is where you kind of just joke about everything. Even the most serious things are jokes. There's probably something wrong. When you're afraid, because it means you might actually be afraid to be serious. And if that's the case, you think of why, and that's kind of where you look into the mirror and realize that you don't exactly see yourself. There's some moments in this review that I don't know if I've had this type of moments in other reviews. That's something else that makes this book very, very unique. It's just the type of book that cuts deep. The School of Greatness is not nearly as good as this book. I did like The School of Greatness, but not nearly as much. And the Joker mask and this one I really think are probably the rarest ones that you might find, but the Invincible mask. It's the same thing with doing something and just and getting away with it and pressing your luck. In each chapter, the author has personal examples of his own experiences with them, but some of them, in my opinion, are just better than others. This is my only criticism of the book, really, and it's not even that big of a deal to me, at least. But because some of anyone's struggles in general in these areas cannot be all that equal, it just sounded like he was kind of reaching with this one. In the circumstances and how drastic they are. I mean, maybe it was the way he told the story about stealing $5 from his dad's business partner. So not to compare stories or what's more extreme than other things, or to say that he's less or more of a man than that of other people who he interviewed and then talks about in the book. But I felt it was not totally really necessary to include a personal story in every chapter, exemplifying the mask at hand, or I guess on face. Maybe I'm wearing the Joker mask. I hope I'm not. The know-it-all mask. You ever meet someone who acts like they know everything? To say I used to be that person at some point was probably to make an understatement. In this chapter, Lewis Howes talks about Mike Rowe, the people know him as the dirty jobs guy, and he is what Howes calls a renaissance, a true renaissance man. However, as someone who has gotten so good at so many things, when Howes asked Mike Rowe what Mike Rowe thinks is the most important skill that anyone can get good at, Mike Rowe said, humility. Isn't humility a trait? I don't even know. But it is still something you can practice, right? I mean, you could say the same thing about gratitude. I don't think gratitude is a skill, but something I've been working on a lot in the last 6 months. If you have a significant other, practice this on them. They're amazing practice. Listening. And I say that from experience, by the way. If you are this person who wears the know-it-all mask, or you know a person who is this person, you might want to check out this book or show them the book, but I recommend trying to do it in a way that doesn't really sound like you're trying to insult them. The know-it-all never really seems to persuade anyone. And what's weird is that he or she is always trying the hardest to do so. The last mask, the Alpha Mask. is about, and this is kind of interested the way he put this chapter together, but it's about being, you know, the alpha and being in control, the one who's on top of everyone else. It didn't surprise me how much this stems from feeling like you're not good enough in the eyes of others, like caring about what other people think of you. I think that's probably the most mutual stem that a lot of these masks and our wearings of them have in common. The author talks about what some experts say about the real meaning of alpha in terms of, you know, manliness. I mean, one of them is literally the guy, I forget his name, the guy who owns The Art of Manliness. Another is this super gangster negotiator, ex-FBI guy named Chris Voss, the guy who wrote Bone Crusher, this like teeth clencher, Never Split the Difference that I reviewed last year. Something I think could have made this book even better would be a little bit further, like deeper observation. I mean, I'm sure the book would probably take like considerably longer to write, but I thought to myself, like, what if he said stuff like, this mask is the most common because X.
This mask is the most like painful, horrible to be wearing because Y.
Z group of people often wear this mask because of the impact on their minds of A event.
But my favorite thing about the book is that it's not really that easy to like disagree with. Avoiding religion and biology, I'm very impressed with how well he was able to do that. Whatever success you're after, keep in mind that someone has already had it, hated it, and deluded themselves into thinking that just a little more would solve their problems. You were never going to chastise that guy because that guy could be you tomorrow. Hurt people hurt other people. You can't learn what you think you already know. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone who does or does not take societal perceptions and expectations of the modern man seriously. Like, if you're not a guy, check it out anyway, especially if you have a guy in your life who you care about. Not that it's the freshest perspective on the whole planet, but I find it one that is definitely not as explored as it could be. This book is dedicated, in the words of the author, to everyone who has dealt with heartache, confusion, or uncertainty in relationships with others or yourself. You are not alone, and we are all in this together. But if this describes you, well, that's also who I recommend this book to. Direction 2. If you like this book, I mean, Models by Mark Manson is really, really deeper into the more emotional, like relationship stuff, the vulnerability aspects of that, as well as The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. I don't think I heard the word vulnerability that much in the Mask of Masculinity, but like how much vulnerability has to do with a lot of this stuff, it's almost mind-boggling. The Mask of Masculinity by Lewis Howes. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that will mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.